The role of hormones during pregnancy. There are 4 major hormones that play a critical role during pregnancy. And these are 1. Estrogen. Estrogen is produced by the ovary. Ovary is one of the gonads that is found in the female organism. So one of the functions of the ovary is production of the estrogen hormone. This hormone plays the following roles during pregnancy. 1. It brings about growth of the mammary glands in preparation for milk production. 2. It inhibits the release of follicle-stimulating hormone, thereby preventing ovulation, so that during pregnancy there'll be no ovulation and there'll be no possibility of another conception and pregnancy developing. Estrogen also inhibits production of milk. It does this by inhibiting the release of the hormone prolactin. This hormone is responsible for the production of milk. So by inhibiting the production of the hormone prolactin, that is, by inhibiting the release of prolactin, estrogen inhibits the production of milk during pregnancy. And it also increases the size of the uterine muscles in order for them to contract powerfully during birth. And the 5th role is that it increases ATP formation in the uterine tissues, especially the muscles, so as to provide the energy for the uterine muscular contraction during the birth process. A second hormone is progesterone. This hormone is produced again by the ovary in the first 3 months. In the first 3 months, it is produced by the ovaries. Then later, its production is taken over by the placenta. And the following are its functions. 1. It maintains the thickening of the uterine wall and thereby preventing the endometrium from breaking down. That's the reason why it is also known as the pregnancy hormone. It maintains the thickness of the uterine wall, and in that way it prevents the endometrium from breaking down. Remember, implantation occurs in the endometrium, and it is through the endometrium that nutrients are passed from the maternal circulatory system into the fetal circulatory system. So by preventing the breakdown of the endometrium, this progesterone maintains the pregnancy. It also brings about the growth of the mammary glands in preparation for milk production. And thirdly, it also inhibits the release of follicle-stimulating hormone and the release of prolactin. By inhibiting the release of follicle-stimulating hormone, it prevents ovulation, and also by inhibiting the release of prolactin, it prevents milk production during pregnancy. And it also inhibits the contraction of the myometrium. This is a layer of muscles in the uterine wall. So it inhibits the contraction of the myometrium, therefore preventing miscarriage during pregnancy. The 3rd hormone is known as the human chorionic gonadotropin. Human chorionic gonadotropin is produced by the placenta. In fact, its production begins immediately upon implantation. Immediately implantation has taken place, the placenta produces the human chorionic gonadotropin, and its role is to maintain the activity of the corpus luteum, which is present in the ovary, up to the 3rd month for the secretion of progesterone. So by maintaining the corpus luteum it ensures that there is continuous production of progesterone until the placenta is fully formed and takes over the role of secretion of progesterone. And then the fourth hormone is the human placental lactogen. Human placental lactogen is produced by the pituitary gland. This one is from the pituitary gland in the brain. Pituitary gland in the brain. And its function is to stimulate the growth and development of the mammary glands in preparation for lactation. So these are the hormones that interact during the pregnancy. And at the end of the pregnancy, that is at the terminal of the pregnancy, the birth process takes place. And birth process occurs mainly in 3 stages. First, the onset of birth is signaled by the reduction in the progesterone levels. Remember, one of the functions of the progesterone is to prevent or inhibit the contraction of the myometrium, that is the uterine muscles. So, towards the end of the pregnancy, there is a drastic reduction in the progesterone levels. This allows the maternal pituitary gland to release the hormone oxytocin. So this drop in the progesterone level allows the release of the hormone oxytocin. Oxytocin stimulates the contraction of the uterine wall muscles. And it is these contractions which result in a wave of contractions, or muscular contractions, commonly referred to as the labor pains. So once the birth process is started, it takes place in 3 stages. First, there's a contraction of the uterine wall leading to the dilation of the cervix, that is the opening into the uterus becomes wider. And as the contractions continue, the amnion and the chorion membranes. The amnion is the innermost and then the chorion is the outer, rupture. And as they rupture, they release the amniotic fluid through the cervix and the birth canal in a process known as breaking of the water. So the first signs that the baby is about to come out is the breaking of the water, which is the release of the amniotic fluid through the vagina. The third step involves the pushing out of the fetus with the head first through the cervix and the birth canal. So as the contractions continue, beginning from this going downwards, the baby is pushed out with the head first, usually with the head first. And as it comes out, the contractions continue and the rest of the body pushed out through the birth canal. And then in the 4th stage, that is after the birth process, the placenta is expelled because the contractions of the uterine muscles continue and the placenta is expelled again through the birth canal as what is known as the afterbirth. The afterbirth, which is the expulsion of the placenta from the uterus. Once the baby has been born, it is important that it is fed the mammary secretion, that is the milk, from the mother through the mammary glands. When the baby is born, the digestive system is not fully developed to process the normal adult diet. In the early stages, the mammalian baby is fed exclusively on the milk secreted by the mother's mammary glands. During pregnancy, the development of the mammary gland is controlled by estrogen, progesterone, and the human placental lactogen. So these glands have been developing during pregnancy, and at birth, they are ready to secrete milk. There are hormones involved in the production and secretion of the milk. The first is the prolactin, secreted by the anterior pituitary gland, which initiates the flow of milk into the mammary glands in a process that is known as lactation. That is, the hormone prolactin from the anterior pituitary gland initiates the flow of milk into the mammary glands in a process called lactation. But the release of milk out of the mammary glands is stimulated by the hormone oxytocin. The hormone oxytocin, also produced by the posterior pituitary gland, stimulates the release of milk from the mammary glands. The first secretion of the breast after birth is known as colostrum. Colostrum. It is a thick yellow fluid rich in proteins and low in fat. It also contains antibodies that provide natural passive immunity to the baby. So it's very important that the baby, the mammalian baby once born, is fed the first secretion, that is the colostrum, within the first 24 hours, because this colostrum contains antibodies that confer natural passive immunity to the baby.